In this topic, we'll compare the different modes of entry that we have talked about till now. So these are the prominent modes that we talked about. So let's do a quick comparison between exporting, licensing, franchising, acquisitions, and joint ventures. Now there are some other modes also, but these are the representative. And once you get an idea of how we're looking at it, you'll be able to analyze some other modes also that are not included in this table. So let's go one by one. So exporting, again, primary advantage is there's low financial exposure. You can enter the market with less risk involved. You can test out the markets, you can avoid FDI restrictions while you acquire that local market, and then maybe you can decide next step to whether to form a joint venture or go the franchising or acquisition way. The disadvantage is that you're vulnerable to tariffs, quotas, and logistical complexities because you're manufacturing in one country and then you are transporting that to another country. A lot of countries are protective about their domestic industries, so they incorporate a lot of regulations like import tariffs, and import quotas. So those are some disadvantages. From a licensing perspective, again, it's a low financial risk, it's a low cost way to entry. You can avoid FDI restrictions, you can leverage your R&D or your products or your processes to generate some money without taking much risk. However, the profitability is limited. In most cases, the licensee might take away the fair share of the profits. You have a lot of dependency on your licensee. There's a potential of conflicts, and because you're giving away a lot of your confidential intellectual property, your processes, your recipes, your product R&D knowledge. So you are actually revealing a lot of your competitive advantage. That licensee might just break out on his own and set up a competing company, which in the long run. So that's a disadvantage. Now, franchising is an extension of licensing where we are just being a little more controlled. Now we have seen McDonald's, Domino's, Pizza Hut on franchising options. Again, all the things are common. The only advantage over licensing additional is more control than licensing. And disadvantages, as we have talked about, are again similar to what we already talked about in licensing. Acquisitions gives you an immediate ownership and control of a particular company. So now all the warehouses, all the employees, factories, technologies, whatever Flipkart has now is under the control of Walmart. So as soon as you acquire, you get everything that Flipkart has built as a business now is under the ownership and the controlling stake of Walmart. But there are some negatives, disadvantages in terms of a lot of complexities are involved in such acquisitions. There are regulatory, political, and legal framework depending on the country where you're trying to acquire, and that's why a lot of acquisitions have failed because of these complexities. Companies have not been able to work them out to their advantages. And one very nuanced part of acquisition is that if you see it's just a consolidation, you are not actually building capacity. So unless you really get synergies to emerge out of a win-win mutually beneficial acquisition, in many cases acquisitions have not found to have worked because of all those complexities involved. Last but not the least, joint ventures, again, synergies, advantages in terms of funds, availability, technology, expertise, assets. So a lot of synergies can be developed. Risk gets shared when there are two companies which are coming together to form a joint venture on a particular project. Then the risk gets shared for those projects. But there is a downside in terms of potential for conflicts, in terms of who shares the benefits. There is a slight tussle involved. Each partner of the joint venture wants to make the most out of this arrangement, which also sometimes slows down decision making and ends up in a lot of conflicts, which we have seen in some of the joint venture examples that we saw in the last